I think it's too easy to kind of flip into the persona of your professional life or your role.
Yeah.
Right? Like your role as a mom, your role as a physician or surgeon, a role as a CEO, a role as a cousin, an older cousin, which I actually think is awesome.
Yeah.
I love being your older cousin.
Now that we're sitting down together, I think this is probably like the first time that we've actually had the chance to just sit down, just the two of us.
Yeah.
And not have the hustle and bustle of family and a holiday and taking care of others. And I mean, this is really such a great opportunity for me to ask you so many questions that I've carried with me since I was little, seeing all the things that you've done and all the things.
All right, Sienna is joining us today.
This is Sienna. She is our spirit animal for this conversation. This is actually what's really happening on behind the scenes. I'm just going to make sure that this is actually filmed. This is my amazing cousin, Maria Millan. Simply put, she is a badass. Filipina, mom, surgeon, CEO, community leader. If you didn't think all of those things could coexist in one being, they do. And she's sitting here, right in front of you. Before this conversation with Maria, I honestly thought I had little in common with her except for the fact that she was family and that I honored and loved her as such. She's the eldest female cousin on my dad's side. I'm the youngest. She became the doctor and corporate leader we all revere. I became the crazy creative artist. Turns out, despite our vastly different titles, we are actually cut from the same cloth. The same drive, the same zest for life, for connecting with people, for excelling beyond measure, it's all there. And during this special conversation that I'm about to share with you, I learned that what ties us at our core is the same after all. We're Filipina, and we're proud of the lives we live. So I want to preface this conversation by saying that you and I are cousins. It's such a neat opportunity to have it in to your world that goes beyond and goes deeper than the things that we may see of all the things that you've accomplished and all the things that you're doing as a leader in your industry.
First of all, I love what I do. I'm the CEO and president of the California Institute for Regenerative Medicine. It was formed because of patient advocacy in the community, actually wanting to push the science to create cures for fatal diseases where we have no treatment. It's a total of an $8.5 billion investment into this space. At all the family gatherings, as you remember, everybody would always be like, when are you going to be done with school? Training in medicine takes a long time. I did surgical residency in Boston in the Harvard system. I worked in a research lab with some of the world-renowned scientists in the field. And that really struck the balance of my personal mission, always geared towards serving others. I had a particular interest in babies and transplanting those with failing organs. From my experience in residency at Boston Children's, I took that to Stanford as a transplant surgeon, continued research, then was recruited on faculty. Then I became the director of pediatric transplant there, so I had a leadership position. My plate became really full really early, which was fantastic. And I just kept going, and with that question, because it's just follow my passion. In the early 2000s, this field called stem cell biology and genomics started to really just come to the forefront in terms of these discoveries, and I thought it was fascinating. That leads me to where I am today. It's a dream job, honestly. It's just a combination of everything.
Did you have this calling before where you're like, you know what, I want to do something bigger?
In our Filipino culture, the career in medicine is considered one of the highest accomplishments. So initially it was kind of just a default, like, okay, you can do it, go into medicine.
Did you feel like there was something about like our family is looking to have you do this?
Our family is a very driven family. Our grandmother, she was our role model, our matriarch, our everything. She helped take care of us when we were growing up. As you know, we have a large family, 7 brothers and sisters. She was a teacher and an entrepreneur. She had jewelry stores, real estate.
My dad used to go around with her and help. He was her little assistant.
She grew up very privileged. Her mother was this Spanish elite. Our great-grandfather was a statesman, right? Owned a lot of municipalities, was very prominent in the community. When he passed away, she tells stories about how everybody just grabbed his properties, his businesses. She remembers people coming into their home and carrying out her sister's brass bed. And then she and her sisters at that point had said to themselves, we will not be in this position.
Yeah.
And so one of our sisters became a professor. Lola was an entrepreneur and
Yeah.
teacher. So they all had careers, and they all very much valued education. And I think that that's why what's embedded in us is not just to chase the money, to be positioned so that you can contribute and there's something meaningful in what you bring to society. She's unmatched.
So,
You can
yeah.
tell she had an impact on me.
You have this other relationship with her that I never got to experience, but I see exactly what you're talking about in you, in my father, in the way that he holds court with people.
Oh, your father
But-
is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, just the way he connects with people on
Right.
this like emotional level.
Your father is a brilliant engineer.
Yeah.
Won all these awards.
Yeah.
And for him to value EQ is a great combination.
I just put it together as we're talking that our family has that. We have this capability of combining the intelligence, the education together with this high emotional understanding, and that actually drives us and is really important to us. Even though sometimes it can get hampered down by our lack of communication that I feel is sort of pervasive in our family.
Yeah, there's that. Having been given not so much a direction, but the support to feel that I could do it.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't easy. It is a really competitive process, and it's very trying. You get challenged at every step of the way. Do you really want to do this?
And that's what I also heard, is that you were also being challenged by family going, why are you still in school?
Yeah.
So it's like, not only do you get the pressure of like, well, I got in, then it's like, you're still in.
Well, that's funny that you say that. One of the things that it's kind of like this tension is doing things for the status and what it brings you in terms of social credibility to doing it for the love of it. Sometimes you get driven by it because it's like a go-to. For parents out there, it's okay to kind of say, hey, did you think about this, think about that? But I think the key thing is, being a parent myself, just really understanding, okay, that is a path. Even choosing a profession doesn't mean you're going to follow a specific path. Like a surgeon becoming a CEO. Like, I didn't go to business school. I wasn't like, I didn't say I want to be a CEO. I just wanted to do something that was gratifying. So initially, it's presented to you as, this is a great career. It can give you all sorts of possibilities. It'll give you job security. You'll know that there's always going to be a need for you, and it's a gratifying thing to do, and it's a good thing to do for society. It starts off there, then it becomes very personal. It becomes like, what does this mean to you? It impacted me in a way I couldn't even explain it to my friends. Like, it's just it's so emotional that it literally has no words. That's how powerful it is.
Yeah.
That connection you get from connecting with patients, from being part of their world, from being part of their family's world, from your colleagues that you work with, just to make these things happen.
Yeah.
I feel very fortunate to be in this family that values education and values pursuing whatever direction that we choose to benefit others and to serve others.
Yeah.
So I love that about our family. I know that it was the default thing for people in our family to say, if you can get there, be a doctor. I'm actually really deliberate. I can give advice, but I really am very conscious of that, because you want to give direction, but allow them to figure out what that means to them, even if they choose that direction, and to know that it's not always a linear path. It's just a way for you to get on the road so that you know where you want to go. We very much, like many cultures, value family. That drives us. And again, community. You talk to any of our non-Filipino friends, they'll always tell you, oh yes, you always have food.
Yes.
Whenever you have a party, there's like 100 people. We're all about that, just like other cultures are, but for sure Filipinos are all about the gathering. And as you know, when we go on family vacations or reunions, members of our family who are the skinniest ones are always planning the next meal. Or maybe the next 2 meals.
Or they're cooking.
You know who you are. Even the ingredients that we may not be fans of, like the bitter melon.
Yeah.
Ampalaya.
Yeah.
Like my dad claims, and I think your dad likes it too.
He loves
They
it.
claim that it's like the best thing, and it's just, and it probably is. It probably has like all these medicinal things, but it's just like really hard to understand, but we accept it. You taste it in the gulay and you're like, okay, that's it. That's ampalaya. When we were little, that was a vegetable that you were really forced to, like, it's good for you. It's like the Filipino version of spinach. It's like, it's good. You have to eat it.
Yeah.
It's about those little things, the food, the experiences, the stories, the intangibles that help people to feel comfortable and more open
Yeah.
to ideas or to things that may initially seem scary, but it's brought by somebody who can relate to you in other ways. It's the power of connection.
How would you define what being Filipina is? What do you see as the Filipina identity?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah,
That's
right?
why you're on this project, aren't you?
Yeah.
I'm hoping I can figure that out.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like this is also something that we're grappling with
We are.
as a community,
Yeah.
especially Filipino Americans.
Yeah.
What does it mean to be Filipino American? What does it mean to be from the Philippines, of the Philippines, and to be transplanted into a different culture?
If we understand ourselves better, we can help others better, right? And
Oh,
so that's a why. How we figured it out? No. For instance, we just talked about the gatherings and the food and all that.
Right.
But you know what? In today's world, we have a diaspora. We have so many different versions of our food. We have so many different
Yeah.
languages, right?
Yeah.
And dialects. It is another challenge to being able to have a very succinct response of what is it like to be Filipino. Those of us who are here in the United States have immigrated here. What it's like to be a Filipino immigrant, American, may be really different. We might have shared history
Yeah.
with those who still live in the Philippines. But I think that history, the events of colonialism and being occupied and in order to survive as a people, needed to assimilate and needed to accept
Yeah.
others' cultures in order to make it happen, right?
Yeah.
Again, not unusual, but it has impacted our ability to really define that identity.
Yeah.
But our identity may be we're adaptable and that we contribute and we're strong.
Interesting.
I know early on in our conversation, we talked about the younger generation who are not as immersed with having even lived in the Philippines. Like, I was born in the Philippines, but there are others who've never, and they really are trying to seek, okay, what does it mean? Because
Yeah.
that is something that we're kind of behind on that. We have a significant number of Filipinos and Filipino immigrants, those who have a Filipino background.
Yeah.
In my children's case, they have half a Filipino background.
Yeah.
That it would be great for them to get around a particular event. I know it seems like so concrete, but it's those type of things that
Yeah.
do bring people together.
Well, just like our family get-together. Like,
Yes.
that's a concrete event, and
Yes.
that's where I've gotten my initial understanding of what it means to be Filipino.
Right.
And then it's just grown from there.
Exactly. I think in this world where we've become so virtual and so social media dependent,
Yeah.
it's going to take a lot of work, especially if it's not been established.
Yeah.
And so I think that would be really cool to identify what that would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bless you.
God bless you. That's a car driving by.
For
God bless you again.
So that's it for this very special episode. If you liked it and would like to hear more, head on over to the Filipina on the Rise podcast, where I have an even deeper conversation with my cousin about how challenging it is for us as Filipinas to slow down and allow ourselves the time and space to celebrate our achievements. You can also join me next Friday here on Filipina American Creative, where I share highlights from that podcast episode. Before you go, I'd love it if you'd give this episode a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. Doing this really does help keep me going on this important journey to discover my family's Philippine heritage. I'm so grateful to share all of this with you. Maraming salamat po. Paalam. Goodbye. I want to preface this conversation by letting the listeners know that this is amazing. I don't think I've ever seen a dog do this before. It's like she knows the camera's on her.
Yeah. Yeah. Such an attention seeker. Okay, Sienna, time to go. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Go, go, go. Go. Good girl. She's like, you want to be natural? Let me show you natural. Let me show you how it's done.